Welcome to WagerTalk Today, the gold standard of sports betting shows where we talk the talk and we walk the walk. It is Football Friday, wall-to-wall football coverage here. We got NFL, we got college football. Yanni gets us started with the Steam Report. Teddy's going to break down Seahawks and Jaguars. Then we're going to talk the big game, Oklahoma, Texas. And another round of Sell Me, where the streak continued. The game, Teddy and I got assigned. Teddy got the winner once again. We're going to see if we can continue this streak going. Marco is going to break down his Steelers versus the Browns. He's also going to break down my Hoosiers versus the Orland Ducks and give us a sauce of the week. Coming off a great sauce of the week segment. I mean, plain sauce for James Franklin was just fantastic. And then Dan and I wrap it up with our Survivor segment. And I'll go over the mega picks pick six contest here. I went 4-1 last week. I'm only 3 points out of first place, so we're doing well. Weekend starts here. Let's make it a big one. Bringing in Yanni. Yanni, you were saying just before we got started, there's a lot of games that you like. A lot of them are dogs. I kind of feel like week 6 is a pretty good spot to start taking some dogs here. Public's all over a few of them. So let's start in NFL. What are you seeing today?
Yeah, I'm loving this week's NFL and college board, man. I mean, just some of these games are just jumping off. I'm a little surprised. You're right. It is that time of the year where a lot of conclusions have been drawn about who's good, who's not, and a lot of the biases have to be shaded, and we're seeing that. But it's hard to fade some of these teams. Like, for example, look at Arizona and what's it called?
Colts?
Indianapolis. Like, the look ahead on the Colts was -3.5, 4. They open at 5.5, 6. That gets hit by wise guys. Goes to 7. That gets hit 7.5. Bettors keep betting it. We're starting to see 8 pop up. Like, at one point, does the dog actually start to offer value on some of these games? Like, you even see the Rams in Baltimore. A 6.5, now sitting at 7.5. We talk about these key numbers, how important they are. And yet, when you're getting such one-sided action, they're buzzing right through these. Even look at New England. I was talking about New England, 3.5-point road favorites in New Orleans, with 3 being, such a key number. I just see a lot of that, a lot of inflated favorites, I think, this week. But it doesn't mean they're not going to cash. It doesn't mean they're not going to win and cover the spread. That's the difference between placing a good bet and losing a good bet. What I mean is, just because a bet wins doesn't make it a good bet. And if you get into the habit of overpaying long term, that's going to cost you money. Like, that's not a recipe for success, to continue to overpay. Now, those bettors that got down early, the guys that have that have Indianapolis -6.5 in their pocket, even 7, guys that have the Rams at 6.5 in their pocket, they're good bets. I'm not arguing those. They did their job. But now, waiting until Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and laying 7.5s and 8s, I just think that's, playing with fire, especially in the NFL, where we just saw last night, a touchdown favorite go down on the money line. And we see it week in and week out. We talk about it like it's a cliche any given Sunday, but it really is true in the NFL. And I think too many recreational NFL bettors get comfortable with, all I have to do is pick the winner. If I pick the winner, I'm going to cash my ticket. And that's just not the case. And they wait until late in the week. They wait until Sunday mostly to place a lot of their NFL bets. And again, I just don't think that's a good recipe. So if you're going to get down on some of these popular favorites, I think you got to be willing to fire early. And I know a lot aren't playing with credit shops, so they got to tie up their money. But it's better than waiting until late in the week and taking bad numbers.
Counter argument. I understand, like, okay, this line is -5, and now it's -7.5. No way you can lay down that number. But what if -5 was with Kyler Murray and -7.5 was with Jacoby Brissett? I watched it with the Ravens. I was all over the Texans last week, and I've been told by multiple people, well, you laying the worst of the number, 41-10 or whatever that game ended up. The downgrade from some of these quarterbacks is just, I don't know if the books and us as bettors are putting too much into it. I don't know. That's my opinion. If
it's warranted in those spots, like obviously an injury, the adjustment is warranted, not even if it's a key quarterback, if they're cluster injuries or situations like that, I agree. And the market's going to reflect that. But in some of the matchups where that's not the case, and you're just looking at the adjustment off the look ahead based on last weekend's result, I think those are the ones you attack and take advantage of. Those games where it's based on that recency bias of what happened last week, as opposed to, again, you're talking about injuries, and the market does usually overreact to those injuries. But if you get down early, I mean, a lot of times you're getting out ahead of it and you're getting the best of it. And like you said, if you're cashing tickets, that's what ultimately matters. But I just think waiting till Sunday to bet some of these big favorites where it's just inflated because of what happened last, I just don't think that's like a good approach. It's different, like I said, if you're seeing injuries or weather, things like that to take advantage of, and you're getting out ahead, that's a different story. But just some of these favorites, they just keep juicing them up, like the Eagles yesterday.
Well, that was a recipe for disaster. Even Dan, our Eagles fan, told you he was taking the Giants. So, what are some other dogs that you're liking I know you'd mentioned a couple. What are some other dogs that have your attention?
I took Carolina over Dallas, gave them out to my subscribers at 3.5. I just thought Dallas had no business being over a field goal favorite on the road at Carolina. Carolina's played a lot better than the narrative of, coming into the season, you didn't expect Carolina to do much. But the fact is they're just one game below 500 right now, and they're actually above 500 ATS. And coming off a nice win against Miami, they've covered 3 of their last 4. And Dallas is coming off back-to-back big games. Like they tied against Green Bay, ended up going into the Jets, winning that game the way they did, now traveling again to Carolina. I just thought it was a bad spot for Dallas that has a divisional game on deck with Washington. That stuck out to me. I touched on New Orleans. I like the Saints. Haven't bet them yet. I got a feeling that line's going to climb with the Patriots. They're coming off back-to-back wins. A big divisional win against a divisional rival in Buffalo. And now going out of conference to Tennessee. I don't think that's a very good spot for them. And New Orleans coming off their first win at home. I think it's a decent spot for the Saints. And who else stuck out? Then Monday Night Football, I talked about it on Bet On It. That was the TV game they gave me to break down. And Atlanta, I thought the line's a little bit too high, a little bit inflated on the Buffalo side. And more importantly for Atlanta, this is huge. It's hard to quantify. It's not like you could put a value on it. But this is a team that hasn't had a Monday Night Football game in a couple of years. This is going to be a strong home field advantage on Monday night. Hostile environment for Buffalo that's coming off a heartbreaking loss to New England. I think Atlanta's catching them at the right spot. And Atlanta's one of those teams that can be dangerous at home. If you see their splits, they've played a lot better there, at least of late. So I like Atlanta a little bit on Monday Night Football. But, to me, it's just a lot of dogs have been jumping off the Week 6 board.
What are you seeing in college football for this week?
All right, college football. If you watch Bet On It, I'm on an island. But I'll continue to say Texas is undervalued. Texas is undervalued. Penn State is undervalued. Notre Dame is undervalued. Those are all teams, power rating wise, that are top 10 in college football, but based on their record, they're not. Again, Texas has been downgraded so quickly, and they've had one of the toughest strengths of schedules early on. I just don't see anywhere that Oklahoma is better than them. Again, you look at the more advanced metrics and look at the efficiency offensively, defensively. I give the advantages to Texas. And it's funny. I'm like, they're playing. I got so much. Instead of listening to any analysis or pick, it was like, oh, he said it's a home game. Well, they're playing in Dallas. It's closer to Texas. Let's just say, I get it. It's not their home field, and they play in a neutral field every single year. But again, the college football home field advantage isn't all that strong anyway. So it's not the reasoning behind it. But I just think that the downgrade on Texas has been too quick. And again, Oklahoma is barely a top 30 team. They just had an easy strength of schedule. So regardless of outcome, I think getting them at a pick 'em at -1 is a gift. They should be at least a 3.5, 4-point favorite in this game. They stuck out to me. I like Oklahoma State. I know Oklahoma State catching a bunch of points. They're my big dog this week. I don't think they should be 2 touchdown underdogs in this spot. Very difficult place to play. I get it. They haven't had a great team on the field, but they show up for them. Oklahoma State is one of the toughest venues to play in college football. Catching 2.5 touchdowns, I like it. Oregon, Indiana, I like the under there. 2 very good defenses. The narrative is offensively, especially the Oregon side, able to put up points. But I think if I remember correctly, only once have either of these teams allowed more than 14 points to an opponent. I think it's going to be a lot more of a chess match than a wide open game. Let me see what else sticks out a little. I can give you a couple sharp sides. Michigan +3 caught some steam. Missouri over Alabama at +3.5. I'm high on Alabama, actually. So that goes against my opinion. I thought Alabama was one of those teams I talked about that I thought was undervalued immediately. Once you get a loss, that's kind of what happens in college football. So the wise guys are against me there. Again, they took the Mizzou side, and also they took Illinois against Ohio State. They took Illinois all the way down to +14.5. So a lot of groups bet it down from 16.5, 17, all the way down to where it sits now, 14.5. So a lot of love on Illinois. But I think I've released already 3 or 4 college football bets. The rest will be coming in tonight and tomorrow morning. Again, haven't had a losing week yet in college football. I believe that's going to continue. We have a really good card. I know everybody was saying, when's the 5% coming in college football? I even got we're doing something jumps out that warrants it, I will upgrade. But we're just doing fine with the 4s. There's a 5 in the NFL this week, 5 in UFC. Hopefully we come back with another winner in the UFC like last week. And a lot going on the next couple of days, man. And don't forget, baseball, 2 game 5s, 1 tonight, 1 tomorrow. Tonight's good 2-way action, Andy. So far, tomorrow, it's all Milwaukee. I'm biased. I have Milwaukee to win that series. I had a 4% with my subscribers. So my decision is going to be whether I, hedge a little of that. But tonight's game, good 2-way action. The thing that sticks out the most is the over. No matter what side they're betting, they're parlaying it with the over in tonight's game 5.
Yeah, 5.5 is crazy. Over under a 5.5. That was my first thought. I was like, don't you have to take the over, like just on sheer principle? And then I see 6s, and I'm thinking, well, why would you take 5.5? Just take 6. If it's 3-2, you lose both. But if it's 3-3, I don't know. You're gonna because you go to extra innings. I don't know. I just seemed incredibly low. But then you look at the pitchers, and yeah, we got people in the chat, say, hey, Scooble could go 8 innings, pitching 1-run ball or 2, something like that. I don't know. I'm not a baseball totals guy, but 5.5 seemed insanely low. But then, as you
just
always
like
say,
WNBA, they're betting the over in WNBA too, blindly. And I'm telling you, every bet on that WNBA game is on the over. Sharps went under last game. They steamed it. Like 2-3 different groups steamed that under. It flew over. And I'll be interested to see, watch your odds logic screen, see if they come back and steam the under again tonight. But the public's just blindly betting that one over.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Yanni, what do you have up for everyone at Wager Talk?
All right. I got my UFC package up for tomorrow. It's an early start. Don't forget, I have a 5% in there coming off a 5% winner. last week. I had my college football pass up as well. It'll be loaded with 4% on the daily pass. Subscribers, you get the 3% as well. Any upgrade will be added. And of course, Sunday NFL with a 5%. Haven't fired a 5% in a while in the NFL, but it's warranted this week. So big weekend ahead. Steam Room is Sunday, hour leading up to kickoff. Best of luck this weekend to everyone, man. Do some damage. I'll be back with last call tomorrow morning.
Oh, you'll be last call. Do you have a Steam report this week at all, by the way?
Yeah, Sunday, right before hour before kickoff.
Okay. I believe WagerTalk YouTube insiders are invited. That Yanni subscribers are there. So Steam Room, and you're going to be on WagerTalk last call tomorrow. So you got plenty of Yanni content over the next couple of days. Yanni the Greek, thank you so much for jumping on board. If you guys could, please hit the like button. And we mentioned the insiders, wt.buzz/insiders. It's only $2.99 per month. You get a $5 coupon to start the month. So already you're ahead, and then you get special invites to things like Yanni's Steam Room, other content. So wt.buzz/insiders. I see we got some members in there today. Luke Be Like, what's up? EJG, what's up? Sean Burley, what's up? Renisha Brow, what's up? Jerry Parker, and G Good. Happy Friday to all of you. Let's say happy Friday to Teddy Covers. Let's bring him in. We got some big games to talk about. We got some, we're going to do sell me here. But Teddy, let's just jump into the Seahawks and the Jaguars. I want your take because I have this pick in my Pick 5 contest. I'm not going to tell you what side I'm on, but I'm interested to see if you see this game the same way I do. Seahawks, Jags, basically a straight pick. We got over under 47.5. Happy Friday to you, Teddy.
Why, happy Friday, Andy. And let's look at the Odds Logic live odds screen right now to get the current number. And again, you talked about if you shop around, I'm seeing some places Seattle's -1, some places Jacksonville's -1. So there is some line variance on this. Pick them the appropriate price here on the show. 47.5, the total pretty much across the board. It is juiced a little bit to the under, despite the fact that both these teams flew over the total last week. Seattle's 3-2 straight up and against the spread. Both losses, Seattle was very live to win. The fluky inning against San Fran in week 1, Sam Darnold had a sack fumble. They got to the 49ers 9-yard line in the closing. That was less than a minute ago, I think. That cost them that game. And then Darnold's interception inside 2 minutes last week against Tampa cost them a second game. That being said, this team's basically 2 plays away from being 5-0 and being priced in a very, very different range than they are right now. Seahawks do have some injury concerns. At the end of last week, they were missing 4 starters on the defensive side of the football. Don't know if Reek Woolen's going to play. Don't know if Devin Witherspoon is going to play this week. And those are impact injuries against Trevor Lawrence and the passing game. The Jags haven't exactly faced, and of course, Seattle's off a loss here. Well, Jacksonville's off a win, which is something that is definitely worth noting. The Jags 4-1 off of 3 straight wins. Their only loss this year, you want to talk about a fluky loss, came when Travis Hunter was called on a phantom pass interference call on 4th down in Cincinnati. And otherwise, we talk about the Jags as a 5-0 team right now. They probably should have won that game too. But yes, they beat Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football, in large part thanks to a 99-yard interception return touchdown. But prior to that, Bryce Young and the Panthers, Jake Browning in the second half of the Bengals game. They got C.J. Stroud when Stroud was struggling. They got an injured Brock Purdy, I should say, with banged up 49ers. And then last week, they had a 99-yard pick 6, which changes any game when that happens. And Mahomes picked him apart last week. His best pass rating of the season, 78 QBR, 318 yards in that ball game. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence averaging well below his career numbers in yards per pass attempt. There hasn't been a whole lot of explosiveness from this Jags offense, with the exception of Travis Etienne, who I don't trust to do that consistently. What have the Jags been doing? They've been winning the turnover battle. They've won the turnover battle 4 times in 5 games, 3+ turnovers 4 of those 5 games. And the one that they didn't against KC, again, a 99-yard interception return touchdown. So to say that they've had a significant advantage turnover-wise is very real. And maybe Darnold turned the ball over here. That is a possibility. But the stats that matter, Seattle, yards per play on offense, number 3 in the NFL, 6.3 yards per play. Jacksonville, number 16 at 5.4. So the Seahawks nearly a full yard per play better on offense. On defense, Seattle, number 9, 5.0 yards per play allowed. Jacksonville, number 21, 5.6 yards per play allowed. Advantage Seattle in both of those by a half a yard in one and a full yard in the other. That's a pretty big edge when you talk about per play basis. So I think the Seahawks might well be the better of these two teams. I don't love the West Coast team traveling east for the early start game, but if I'm playing this one, I don't believe in Jacksonville. It's Seattle or pass for this bet.
I picked Seattle in the pick 6. I agreed with everything that you just said. I thought this line kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense, and it felt like the books wanted to bait everybody into taking Jacksonville off of a national TV win in spectacular fashion. I agree completely. I have Seattle as one of my picks this week, so glad we are on the same side. Let's move to polarizing game of the week here, Teddy. Oklahoma versus Texas. We just heard Yanni say he thinks Texas is way undervalued, but looks like Oklahoma's going to have their quarterback, Mateer, upgraded to probable. So let's take a look at this game. How do you break down Oklahoma and Texas?
I have nothing but respect for Yanni. Okay, nothing but respect for that guy, and he works as hard as anyone in the business, and he's got his pulse, his finger on the pulse of what's going on in the pro betting community, like very few people do. That being said, I couldn't disagree with him more about his assessment of the Texas Longhorns. Yanni's talking about powering numbers, and powering numbers still have Texas ranked really high, ranked higher than Oklahoma. That's why they're the favorites at the get-go from the opener this week. We talk about power ratings as an assessment of how good a team is talent-wise. It also gives us an assessment of how well a team is playing. And the only thing Texas has done this season, you look at preseason expectations, they're supposed to be good. They were, going into Ohio State as a team that you're supposed to win in Columbus. And obviously they didn't do that. Last week at Florida, they didn't do that either. In between, not a lot to be excited about. But from a strength of schedule standpoint, both these teams have had 2 step-up games. Oklahoma's beat Michigan and they beat Auburn. Texas lost to Ohio State and Florida. Maybe Ohio State and Florida are better than Michigan and Auburn. But those 2 teams have had 2 step-up games, and Oklahoma succeeded both times. Texas failed both times. Oklahoma had them both at home. Texas had them both away from home. So maybe you say there's nothing in that. I think there is something there. And certainly when it comes to a confidence level, there's something to be said for what the Sooners have been doing. We talk about a rivalry game. Oklahoma's not going to leave anything on the table here. They're not going to hold anything back against Texas, and vice versa. But here we are in October. I don't want to hear what any team's preseason power rating was. I don't care what their preseason power rating was. I don't care how much talent they have on the roster. It has to how good they're playing, how much they've been able to execute their game plan. Texas could have all the talent in the world, but as a football team, they're not the better of these 2 teams right now. And this point spread's telling us that. And obviously, Mateer back. He's been upgraded to probable for the Oklahoma Sooners. And Mateer matters. There are times I want to play contrarian and take a team like Texas. I get it. No, not this one. And again, last year, Texas was minus 17. They won 34-3. Markets are saying these teams are 3 touchdowns different than a year ago. Texas was minus 9 in 2022 and won 49-0. In between, Oklahoma, the game-winning touchdown with 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter, 34-30 in 2023. Texas was minus 4 in that ball game. This is the best Sooners team of the last 5 years. This is not the best Texas team of the last 5 years. I think Oklahoma gets a revenge. And if I'm playing, it's Oklahoma, not Texas. I understand why Texas is power rated where they are. I just don't think, in a big game, I don't want my money on Arch Manning, plain and simple.
I agree with you, but I'm not the guy to go to. I trust smarter people like you for college football. So we're going to do sell me, but tell everyone what you have up. We got Weekend Warrior. It's a big weekend of football. I know you've been running pretty good in football, so tell us about that. Yeah,
the college football has been outstanding, 10-3 over the last 2.5 weeks. Or actually, I think it's 3 weeks now. I got to update that. But college football is on a 77% run. All football is on a 65% run. All sports on a 64% run. The baseball has been pretty darn good as well. Right now, we just have a single play up for Friday night. It's been a hectic morning. We'll have a big card posted as the day progresses today on Friday. But you talk about that Weekend Warrior package, $49. It's a deal. It doesn't get you tonight's play, but it'll get you Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Every play in every sport. Again, WT.buzz/TC to get on board.
All right, Teddy, it's time for Sell Me. It's a very simple segment here. Dan picks a game out of the blue, and he gives me a team, and he gives Teddy a team, and we have to, on the spot, make the case for those teams. Somehow, Teddy, you are undefeated.
Thank Dan.
I don't know how that worked out.
Dan, thank you, Dan. Keep it up.
I don't know. Whenever you guys hear this Sell Me segment, we should be hearing bells tolling because the Undertaker streak of Teddy covers has continued here. 5-0, which means Teddy and I together somehow are 5-0. And guys, last week we talked, I believe it was the Giants and the Saints. And I toyed around with, do we go back to the well and have to talk about the Saints again this week? But then I looked at the board and saw this marquee matchup. I mean, everyone is going to be watching this game. Everybody has a take on this game. It's Lions versus the Chiefs. So, guys, for selling me this side, if I'm trying to keep my streak alive, I would like Teddy to break down the Detroit Lions side of this equation. So you might know which side that maybe I'm leaning towards. I think we're looking at +2 is what we're kind of seeing here in the marketplace. So that's what we'll grade this one at. Teddy's taken the 2 with the Detroit Lions. Andy is laying the 2 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy, sell me this NFL side.
All right, so you're going to give me Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at home, primetime against the Lions team that struggles on natural grass. Yeah, absolutely. I will take that every day of the week. The Lions, as Marco's coming up would say, little fat and sassy. They beat Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore's worst defense in Chicago. So what happened when they went on the road in week 1 against a good team, Dan? They lost 27-13 to the Packers. Now they're going on the road against the Chiefs. Listen, the Chiefs, that was a game they were supposed to win. Now they're staring at 2-4 in the face if they lose this game. It's not going to happen. They're getting healthier. So many things had to go wrong for them last week. That was their absolutely bizarre game of the year. Prime time, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra, they're slower on natural grass. They are walking into the, no pun intended, Lions den here with a Chiefs team that needs a win. This is going in at Kansas City. This is not going on the road to Cincinnati like they did last week, the Detroit Lions. Give me the Chiefs. They win by margin up and over this. Teddy pulled out alt lines on me a few weeks ago. Allow me to say they win by a touchdown here on the alt line.
Wow, calling out the alt line there. I'm just glad that he mentioned natural grass in the handicap instead of what the car smells like, so Marco can leave his Febreze away for this one. But if Marco has sod at his house, Andy, you're screwed. All right, we heard the breakdown. Slower on natural grass, Teddy. Do you agree? Sell me the side of one of the hottest teams in the league, the Detroit Football Lions.
So when I'm grasping at straws to try to make a case for a team, I'm always like, oh, they're changing surface, you know? The Lions can win on grass. The Lions can win on turf. The Lions can win on hybrid. The Lions can win on any surface. I'm not going to make a bet against the Detroit Lions because they're on natural grass this week. And the entire week one was 1,000 years ago. You know, we talk about, oh, the Lions didn't play well in week 1. Okay, they didn't play their starters in preseason. You know, lots of teams have iffy week 1s. I'm not worried at all about the fact that Detroit did not play well in the opener against Green Bay. They're clicking right now. And what have we seen from this Lions team once they start clicking? We saw it all last year. We saw it all the year before. When this team gets on a roll, you back Detroit and you just ride them week after week. They're not a letdown team. They're a bite your kneecaps team. And this whole offseason, and I'm still kicking myself now, I was like, Kansas City has to come back to earth. All right. It's just time. You don't stay at the top of the NFL for a decade. You stay at the top of the NFL 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years. And Casey's had that 5-year run They're coming back to earth. You had to pay Mahomes. You had to pay your superstars. The depth isn't there. Why is Kansas City losing this game? Why have they been losing games so far? They're not as good this year as they've been in recent years. Detroit, no need for taking points. Get them on the money line.
Doesn't matter about the grass, says Teddy Covers. So, guys, comment below. Does the Undertaker streak come to an end, or do we move to 6-0? Let us know what you think. Guys, always look forward to this segment. Terrific job by both of you, gentlemen. And we'll see. Does the streak end? Time will...
Yeah, I gotta agree with Fortune. Dan keeps doing Andy dirty. One of these weeks, you gotta give him an easier one.
So, to be honest, I was hoping I would have the Chiefs, so he dealt me Detroit. So it is. I thought the argument for the KC is easier than the argument for Detroit this week.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see. I'm actually rooting for you because streaks are awesome. The views definitely go up if we can get this thing to double digits.
Well,
so
in that case,
Teddy,
let me just rip off this jacket and we'll run around. Oh, those other kind of streaks I got.
wrong streak. Teddy, one more time. Tell everyone what you have up for this weekend, and thank you for doing Sell Me. This is one of my favorite segments of the week.
WT.buzz/TC. We've been running real good in college football, 10-3 over the last 2.5/3 weeks. The NFL has been solid, 65% football run, 64%, I forget. 64 or 65% of football over the last 3 weeks. The baseball's been really good, 16-5 MLB run. We're in play tonight. Obviously, we'll be in play tomorrow. We'll be in play Sunday. Just posting that card as the day progresses. Check out the page, WT.buzz/TC. And let's partner up. $49 Weekend Warrior package is a great deal, but it's not the only one. But I encourage you, if you're going to get on board, get a package. Don't get a play, and let's partner up and make some money this week. Cheers.
Teddy Covers, everyone. Have a great weekend. Teddy, can't wait to see you again next week. We're going to bring on Marco in just a second. Want to tell everyone our NFL Week 6 props pack is still up. We had one play last night. It was Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown. And Dan, what'd they run? The tush push 4 plays in a row, just delighting bettors on the Jalen Hurts every time touchdown.
Even I was sick of the tush push after they ran it 4 times straight, Andy. That was tough to watch.
Until they cash our bet. Then they can stop.
Then it was easy to watch. Yes.
Then it was easy to watch. Yes. So we've got more props that are going to be up for Sunday and Monday. That puts us on a 6-2 run, and that now puts us 7-1 in primetime games on props. I still don't know why we're so good in primetime games on props, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you get the props pack. You're going to get all plays on Sunday and Monday, including those primetime games. And our 5% UFC best bet is up, coming off a 4% win on Tuesday in Contender Series, 5% win on Saturday, and love this card. Weigh-ins, we got through free. One guy missed 8 pounds. Thank God it wasn't one of our fighters, but we should be looking good for a big Saturday card. All right, let's bring on Marco. Marco, were you as disgusted with my my Chiefs breakdown as you were my Giants breakdown, or was that a little better?
Oh, that was much better. And I am definitely rooting for you this week, Andy, and only for one reason, because I don't want to have to look at that graphic of Teddy again bare chested if the streak continues. All right, so you got my full backing of rooting for this week, so go for Chiefs.
All right, I'm going to ask you about your aces here in a bit, but I want to talk to you about your Steelers first. If you were drawing up a start of the season to your Steelers, could you have designed this much better? Bengals lose Burrow. Obviously, you're not rooting for injuries, but, the Ravens are free-falling. Bengals don't. But the Browns are the Browns. So it's a 5.5-point game. This is a huge, huge weekend. Your team wins, and Baltimore and Cincy loses. You guys have a stranglehold on that division. We got a low total here at 38. So what's your breakdown on your Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cleveland Browns?
Well, let me just sum up the AFC North for you in one statement. The Pittsburgh Steelers had a bye week last week. We gained a half a game on the entire division. Okay?
So bad.
All right. Bad. And if that's not enough, the Cincinnati Bengals were driving down the highway, and they were, I don't know why they were going through Cleveland, but they saw Joe Flacco out on the curb. How, like sometimes when it's big trash day, people put chairs and stuff out, free, or the garbage guy comes and takes it. Well, they said, "Oh, look, there's a Joe Flacco. We need one of those." And
we can put a frame on him and hang him on the wall.
And they take it. And here's the thing. there's the unwritten rule. If you trade a player, you never trade him within your own division. You don't want to help out a teammate, or a fellow, rival. Well, the Browns thought so little of Joe Flacco that they traded him to a rival. And yet the Bengals, I don't know what they're thinking. They thought enough of Joe Flacco to think they won that trade. God bless America that we live in. This is just great. But as far as this game goes, I'm on Cleveland. And I will put the first thing out there. As far as the scheduling dynamics go for this game, it's a bad spot for Cleveland when you look at rest. And a lot of handicappers love to, do that, which team has got the rest advantage and so forth. And the Steelers have a huge one here. They're coming off a bye week. Generally, these bye weeks, what I say about them is if you go into the bye week doing well, it's a momentum stopper. If you go in and things aren't working well, that, you're going to fix what's wrong. The Steelers went in with 2 wins, and they finally feel good about themselves. And then again, with what happened last week with the rest of the division. So I think it is a momentum stopper for the Steelers. Cleveland, unfortunately, has to travel back from London. I don't know why they didn't get their bye week. Generally, the NFL gives the team that plays overseas the bye week, but they got to come back, not only play, but they got to play a division rival. Here's the bottom line. The Steelers are not as good as a first-place record might indicate. They've been very fortunate in the games. I've been involved in 3 Steeler games. Twice I went against them. Once I went with them, and we're 3-0. I'm going to keep that streak going and make it 4-0. I'm going against them here. I'm taking the Browns plus the points. I always tell you, if you can give me the better defense getting points, and especially in a division matchup, I'm going to go that route. And the Steelers have always been known for their defense. Their defense is not good this year. That has been the big Achilles heel in the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers, he's not setting the world on fire. And some of the big pass plays that he's had, he's put the ball up there. His receivers just gone up and got it for him, bailed him out. Myles Garrett is going to introduce Aaron Rodgers to the AFC North. And generally, when he does introduce somebody, it's that guy's on his back looking up at him and say, "Hi, I'm Myles Garrett." And that's what's going to happen this week. Give me the points with Cleveland. And in a perfect world, if you want to really make me happy, make it the Steelers 21-20. I could live with that, but I'm actually calling for Cleveland outright 20-17.
Wow, calling for the upset. I like it, Marco. We were talking before the show, like this feels like a week of a lot of dogs coming through and covering some of these spreads and maybe getting some outright. So Marco, Steelers fan, is on the Browns. All right, let's move to my team, Indiana Hoosiers, going on the road against Oregon. It's a huge game, obviously, for both teams. Oregon gets their big win on the road out of their way against Penn State. Margo, they get by Indiana. It is smooth sailing. They do not have a whole lot of trip-up games unless they really blow one if they get past this Hoosiers team. I love the Hoosiers team. They're fun, but listen, I have to be realistic here. At home against Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and Illinois, 53 points per game. On the road against Iowa, 20. Yeah, little cause for concern, but I wonder if they didn't run their best offense because they knew this was coming. We got Oregon -7, 7.5 are out there. Over/under sitting at 53.5. What do you like in this game?
Well, Andy, let's start. Both teams are 5-0, and you alluded to the fact that Oregon went on the road, got that big signature win at Penn State, and there's no question about it. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I was on Penn State in that game. But now, after what we saw happen last week to Penn State, did that win lose a little bit of its luster now that Penn State went on the road and lost as a 24.5-point favorite to UCLA, who couldn't get out of their own way, fired the coach after 3 games? So I am not as sold on Oregon as the public might be. And if you've watched the line movement on this game throughout the week, the money's only coming one way. And when you're betting early in the week and you keep seeing a dog drop, I really keep looking at that. When everything says Oregon, for all the obvious reasons that you stated, and they struggled in that one key road game they had. But let's not forget, the one thing that when Iowa plays a football game that you can count on is the defense is always going to show up for Iowa. The offense can be missing in action. too often for the Iowa Hawkeyes, but the defense is always there. And as you said, they might not have ran the best plays out of that playbook with this game on the horizon. Both teams has 2 weeks to prepare for it. This line, I'm seeing sevens popping up now. It was 7.5. The opener I think was 9 or 9.5. The public doesn't bet dogs, especially early in the week. That's sharp money, and I agree with it. I'm going to go with Indiana in this one. The calling card for Indiana has always been with Cignetti's teams is they've got that fantastic offense. But if you look at the numbers, their defense is playing just as well. Now, granted, they haven't played a tough schedule, but the defense has lived up to the task so far. I think this is going to be their statement game. I'm taking Indiana plus the points. I think this one's going to go right down to the final possession. And let's go ahead and take that touchdown with Indiana. And I'm going to call it 30-28. Late field goal by Indiana just sends chaos into the college football world.
Hoosiers. I like it, Marco. We're going to do wing sauce of the week. Tell everyone what you have up for clients and everyone at WagerTalk.
Well, this is one of those weekends. I've got several plays I like a lot, and we're putting the card together. Will we have a 5%? Probably. Definitely have a couple 4% to go with that. Both Saturday and Sunday strong cards. I have an NFL play I like a ton on Sunday. So best way to go if you just want the weekend of football, go with the Weekend Warrior. You'll get Saturday and Sunday. You'll get everything we have in football. If I have a Monday night play, and there's 2 games this week, so very good possibility of that. We did have a Monday night play last week. We were on Jacksonville, and I loved that ending. You'll get that play free. But if you want everything, we've got the 7-day package going. You can pick up 7 days for $77. And this is the best time to be on an all access. Every sport is running right now but one. And come Tuesday, the one that's not running, I think Tuesday they start, the NBA gets started next week as well. So if you want all the sports, all the plays, you don't want to miss any of the action, grab a 7-day all access for just $77.
WT.buzz/MD Marco D'Angelo. All right. It's time for the wing sauce of the week. You brought the thunder last week, giving James Franklin playing, which was great. Absolute boomerang. All right. What's your wing sauce of the week, and who are we talking about?
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep with the theme of picking on somebody or a team. And our wing sauce this week is going to be a Caribbean jerk sauce. Why? Because we've got a player and a team that were complete and utter jerks last week. And that player is Amari DiMarcardo. Okay. He gets the award. All right. For, hey, man, we're going. I got a 70-some yard touchdown. I'm running. And why is it so cool for these players to think that it's cool to do the football, just let it drop as I cross the goal line? That's the equivalent of the bat flip in baseball when you hit a home run. Okay. Well, at least when you hit the home run, you pretty much know that ball where it's going once you hit it. You've done it enough times. How hard is it to know where the frickin' goal line is? And if you have to be reminded about it, didn't this just happen the week before to the Indianapolis Colts? So you get the jerk award and you get a plate of Caribbean jerk wings. But how about Arizona, period? They are the only team that can blow a 21-6 lead against a winless team with a rookie quarterback and have the game-sealing interception to ice the game, intercept it, and then fumble it for a touchdown for the other team. How the hell do you do that? They're Caribbean jerk all the way around, but, condolences to the 3,152 survivor players that did take Arizona last week. I feel sorry for you. Just, I don't know, have some wings and drown your sorrows in Caribbean jerk sauce.
Isn't it amazing that the dropped football before going to the end zone was probably not the craziest play of that game? I think the interception fumble into the end zone was the crazy. It's so bizarre.
What happened to the days of You score a touchdown and you just hand the ball to the referee like you've been there before.
I guess especially if you're someone like DeMercado who like has a chance to shine, and it's like this is my chance to really earn this roster position, and I don't know. It happens every once in a while. I feel like it's always going to be a part of their lives, but maybe there are coaches that are like, if you do this again, or if you do this at all, you're just benched. Like, enough's enough. You're not doing it to our team. I mean, literally, jobs are on the line. Like, these plays can affect playoff seedings, whether a team gets into the playoffs or not. What if Arizona misses the playoffs by like a half a game? You go back to this play and you're like, ugh. So, absolutely wild. All right, Marco, thank you so much. Great job. One more time, what do you have up for everyone this weekend?
Just, I would highly recommend the Weekend Warrior package, or if you want a full 7 days, go for that 7 days for $77 and ride along. We're number 2 in money, won the last 2 years, college and pro football combined. And good luck to everybody this week.
All right, Marco D'Angelo, let's do all around the world, and then we're going to talk Survivor and our mega contest picks here. All right. John Kelly's nice enough to bring up that Dillinger had 0 catches. We hit our other 2, but you're right. Dillinger didn't get anything done, but it's still 2 in 1 day. We missed out on our same game parlay, but the other props came through. The Jalen Hurts touchdown was a client play. I'm going to go to another quarterback here to get us started. Mac Jones over 1.5 passing touchdowns. The worry here is he is banged up, but he's healthier than Brock Purdy. He looks like he's going to get the start. And he's muscled through his starts, and the Bucs have given up 10 passing touchdowns this season. 49ers as a team have thrown for 10. That's third best in the league, and Mac Jones has 6 of them. So I like Mac Jones. I think you're getting plus money. You can find a plus 105 out there. We'll go to baseball here. Mariners and Tigers, George Kirby over 14.5 outs. He got to 15 outs exactly last game against Detroit. That was 6 days ago. Should be rested enough. If he's good again, I expect kind of a similar result. And I know some of you in the chat have said Scooble's probably going to go long. I think Kirby's going to. Both these starting pitchers, if they're pitching good, you're probably going to ride him. He's gone over this total in 83% of games this season. So we'll ride that streak on Kirby going over the outs. And then this was a guy we faded earlier in the season, Ashton Genty. We faded him for clients. Now we're going to over 73.5 rushing. This matchup is tailor-made for him. He's only gone over with this total one time this year, but it was against Chicago where he had 138 yards rushing. Chicago's the second worst rush defense in the league. Well, guess what? Tennessee's third. They're giving up 146 yards rushing. Genty has 82 carries. Second on the team in carries is Geno Smith with 16. He's the bell cow. He's getting all the carries. You give me a guy at 73.5 yards that's getting all the carries against his Titans team. Yes, I'm actually going to take him over the rushing total. All right, Dan, it's time. Survivor and mega contest. You want to start with Survivor here? You want to go over who your picks are? You've navigated the schedule absolutely beautifully so far. Absolutely.
Yes, it's solely because we need to have the I Will Survive, the Andy Lang and Dan Alexander story continue here, Andy. And you make up this graphic for us every week. And to no surprise, 14.5 point favorites. Week 6, I feel like, isn't the time probably to get cute. This is a good spot to use the Packers. I mean, we talked about it. Do you worry a little bit about the changes for the Cincinnati Bengals? It's Joe Flacco. I don't think we can worry about it too much. So for me, it's just this Packers team coming off of a bye. If you watch the Bet On It Mega Show, you can find it on the YouTube channel. Just went live. Insiders had access to it earlier. Teddy's Stock Watch. It's called Stock Watch. Just the tip, whatever you'd like to say. Well, just the tip that Teddy gave us was bet on the Packers. And he said, will I be laying 14.5 with them? Probably not. But if they cover that spread, things only going to go north for this Packers team. And Teddy made a really good case of how the Packers could still be, if not one of the best teams in the NFL, the best team in the NFL. I think that team may reside in Detroit. Time will tell. But this week, Andy, we're taking the Packers. I don't know if I'd be laying 14.5 points. I don't do that too often, Andy. But I think the safest play, you take the Packers. And if the freak show happens and they get upset, hey, you're going to be kicking yourself. But you'd be kicking yourself if you try and find something on a tough board that's not a 14-point favorite, in my opinion.
So Corbin called me and he was like, "Hey, I have a bet on the Packers earlier in the week. They traded for Flacco. Should I hedge out of it?" And I was like, "You're not serious."
That's how I know. That's how I know Corbin is a Brit. The fact that was even a question, you know what I mean?
Here's the thing: he loves Flacco because we keep betting his pass attempts over, and it's
it's all he does
of the games.
It's all,
so he
and
loves
he probably
Flacco
will. He probably will cash it again. I mean, for what it's worth, for like prop plays and hopefully getting Jamar Chase, he finally burst back on the scene in garbage time last week. Like, I think the Bengals prop plays now aren't absurdly unbettable like they were. So that's probably a way that I'd be looking to bet them, other than, oh my God, Flacco's here. It seems like a real desperation play. And I'll be the first to say, I don't think Jake Browning is the reason why that Bengals team has just been absolute dreck. He's been horrible, yes, Andy, but Pat Mahomes behind that offensive line that they're trotting out there for the Bengals probably wouldn't look too great. So, I don't think you have to hedge out of anything because Joe Flacco came to town.
It's still the same defense. That's the crux of the problem. So,
yes.
I'm throwing the Rams in our sleeper lineup. I just want to fade this Ravens team. It worked easy last week. I don't think anything changes. Cooper Rush was efficient, but he still threw for 3 interceptions. That defense, again, is still bad. And the Rams disappointed everyone last week. I think people are going to be terrified to take them. They get extra rest to prepare. I don't see McVay and Stafford blowing 2 games in a row. Remember last week, prime time division rival? That's 2 weeks in a row. Primetime division rival where there's been a crazy kind of an upset. So going with the Rams. All right, let's do the mega contest week 6 picks. I'm creeping in on the leader, man. I'm only 3 points out of first place in the Bet Online mega contest. So we did good. I'm going to stick to my guns and lay the 7.5 on the Rams. I know I've been told, well, the line earlier in the week, no, give me the Rams in a blowout. We talked about the Seahawks with Teddy earlier. The Colts, so BetOnline locked in their line at -6.5. That's got to be a play with the news that Kyler is banged up, and I get it below that key number of 7. So I'll get that one. 49ers +3. I'm a believer in Mac Jones. I just am. I think he's looked really good. It's Kyle Shanahan. Somehow they won last week. There's something weird going on with this team. And then you really like this Falcons +4 against the Bills. Yeah.
I'm gonna bet the Atlanta money line, to be honest with you, Andy. I really like, and because we were talking before the show, and right after we're done with this show, I'm going to be recording the Circa Million show that I do with my friend Adam Rosenberg. We give our 5 picks, and we have some overlap here, Andy. And one of my favorites is this Atlanta Falcons team because they're coming off the bye. I think people aren't really remembering that this team has outgained their opponents by nearly 120 yards per game. Really good offense, and partially that's because the defense has been pretty solid. And a stat that I'm going to give out on that show, Andy, we'll give here as well to our over 1,100 people watching live, and hit that like button and subscribe. We appreciate it. This one from Mark Lawrence. And if you think about it, it sounds, this is really weird subset kind of stuff. It makes sense. The big holy shit stat from Mark Lawrence this week is Buffalo. They're coming off 3 straight home games, right? And NFL non-divisional road favorites who are coming off 3 consecutive home games, subset says they're 4-20 against the spread. And it makes sense. You've been home for 3 straight weeks. You've been sleeping in your same bed for 3 straight weeks. And now you have to go on the road against a team who I think you're getting a discount on here. I'm shocked that this thing is north of a field goal because I think that's where the game's going to play around, which is why I have to sprinkle the money line. I really like this Atlanta team. This feels like a dog week, Andy, which worries me because there's going to be a week where the public just absolutely feasts and favorites win and favorites cover. If this is the week that it happens, there's going to be a lot of sharps that are kicking themselves heading into this weekend because it is a major pros versus Joes week here. So who wins, the pros or the Joes? We'll find out. Atlanta's a big one of those pros versus Joes plays.
Yeah, 4 points on the road to a team that does not have a good defense is just a recipe for disaster. I think they struggle to blow teams out. All right, thank you so much for everyone for making Football Fridays absolutely awesome. Yanni, Teddy, Marco, Dan, and especially all of you in the chat, thank you so much. If you guys could, please hit the like button, leave us a comment. Tell us who you like in the segment between me and Teddy Sell Me, or tell us some of your picks or props that you like. Our props preview video is going to be up. We also got Last Call this weekend. Yanni's Steam Report is up Dan's going to be breaking down their super contest picks. A lot of content. That's why you hit the like button and subscribe to the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Trying to get to 225,000. That's our next milestone. We're right around the corner. Appreciate everyone for this week. Another great week of shows. We're going to be back Monday breaking down Monday Night Football and going over the weekend. Good luck on your bets this weekend. Take care.